Yeah. Once more into the fray. Thanks for joining us once again. Thanks for telling your friends. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for liking. We're up to 99 likes. 99. We got 99 likes this week. If you don't know us, I'm Pastor Dave. Sitting with me is Randall, the Armorbearer. We are
They That Believe.
We talk about church culture, pop culture, entertainment news, geek news, current events, all filtered through a lens of lifestyle Christianity. We were here a couple of weeks ago, and I got myself in a little bit of trouble. We were talking about what we might do in the near future, a Halloween-themed spooktacular pod, maybe in October. And I mentioned at the same time that Gretchen and I have an anniversary, and I thought it would be fun if we did a similar pod. Why am I out of breath? Hang on, let me catch my breath. But I thought it would be interesting if she and I did a pod kind of related to our anniversary and let people get to know her and tell funny stories about each other. And, of course, I mentioned in that pod that obviously the two dates were around each other, Halloween, and that we got very close to Halloween. So while I'm driving in the car and we're listening to the pod, which I spent a few times kind of talking about Gretchen and telling some funny stories on her and all that, and she was like, "Well, let me hear your newest one." I was like, "Uh-oh." But you know what? She laughed. It didn't bug her, until I said, "Well, we want to do that pod about our anniversary because we have an anniversary on October 28th." And before I had even, the word 20 wasn't even out of my mouth. It was like 20, yeah. As soon as I went to the vowel of 8.
Were you not the right way?
I got a death look, and like you could hear the sound, like her head broke the sound barrier, snapping to glare at me. Yeah, we were married on the 29th.
Sweet.
Yeah. Yeah, it was and I had known it because after I listened to the pod later, I was like, why did I say that? See, I have a meeting scheduled on the 28th, and I may have had that on my mind. I don't really know, but I was wondering. I'm thinking, well, maybe she won't admit. No, yeah. I didn't even have it out of my mouth. Yeah, because our anniversary's on October 28th. Boom!
You broke the cardinal marriage rule.
Yeah, but I didn't forget, and she looked and didn't say a word. I was like, I know, I missed it. We're thinking off the top of our head and that kind of thing. Anyway, we were up to 99 likes now, so we need one more to get 100. So anyway, if you're listening and you like it, and we have a bunch of people, like a lot of my friends that have liked the page that still have no idea we do this.
Yeah.
You just send them a like invitation, and
they
just go through their stuff and just like it. So speaking of, I know you're aware, and maybe a few people that listen to this that are in my friends list and stuff. I got off Facebook for a while. I've ejected on Facebook.
You detoxed.
I know. Or how's everybody doing in Facebook land since I've left them?
It's still there.
Is it carrying on without me?
Yeah. They've hardly noticed.
I just got to a place. It was weird. It wasn't. I was spending a lot of time on there and a lot of time looking more than I should. And just out of habit, mostly. I mean, there wasn't really anything important going on there, but like a lot of other people, you have a moment of downtime, and the first thing you do is you go to that phone and you just start looking, just to entertain yourself for a moment. And I would do it at night. I'd lay down to go to bed and would look up an hour later, and just wasting way too much time. But more than that, it wasn't really a time thing. More than that, it's what it was doing to me emotionally. And I had threatened or considered doing this for a long time, but there's so much negativity. And I have just come to a place where I guess I'm not going to get this question answered, or maybe it has been answered for me. Like, the people that I know are just, if that's the only window that you have into their lives, apparently I'm friends with a bunch of very unhappy people.
Yeah.
And it's depressing. There's so little on, I would scroll through it, I would look, and within 15, 20 minutes of spending time kind of in this space, I would be, depressed or angry, and I just got tired of it. I just got tired of the negativity, and it was just kind of one of those things where I need a bad relationship, where you both know that you need to break up, but you kind of hang on because it's easier to stay in a bad relationship than it is to break up. And I finally, I just had to cut the cord and go, I need this out of my life. I need this out of my life for a little while.
I think I'm ready too, especially with all the political stuff that's going on right now with the election coming up and stuff. I'm so tired of seeing Donald Trump.
Right.
I'm sure he's a good guy, but I don't need to know a breakdown of every word he's ever said. So I think it's time for me to maybe step away too. We could be like the only two people not on Facebook.
Yeah. Right. So anyway, yeah, I would actually recommend it. Give it a shot for a little while. Of course, I had to, as I said, I had to do create like a backdoor profile because I wanted to continue to use the messenger and because we have a page for the pod too, so I wanted to be able to access the pod page. Well, you got to have a personal profile. Mm-hmm. So I went to create like a ghost profile, and within very short order, immediately started getting friend requests over there after I had already told everybody. And what I should have done is you'll put a fake name on it or something. Yeah. So people are chasing me over there. I'm like, no, you guys kind of missed the point. Okay, so last week I was all but begging. I'm not going to do that anymore, but I was begging for people to like and send us emails, and I jokingly said that your mom was going to send us some. And she did. She did. But that's okay. Here's the only thing, and I hope she won't get offended or feel like I'm putting her off. The stuff that she was kind of asking or prodding about was stuff that would probably be good for our Halloween themed show. Yes. And again, if it'll feel better about me putting her off a little bit, it was kind of some stuff that I was already thinking about. So she was asking about some supernatural kind of stuff, about ghosts, and I had already my mind had been going there a little bit because here at my house, my folks like to watch those stupid ghost adventure shows and ghost hunting shows, but I don't want to do that right now. We'll completely rip and mock on those later. Although I do want to go a little dark today.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, we're gonna get a little morbid. I want to talk about what happens to us after we die, and I don't necessarily mean in the afterworld. I mean like what happens to these bodies that we have after we die. Okay, so there are alternatives to traditional burial now, and it's interesting because some of this seems to be from a movement that has come out of this environmentally friendly kind of consciousness. It's almost a way to go green, even with your remains.
To go green,
yeah, to go, and when you go to go green. All right, green. So I want to throw some of these out there to you, and you see if any of them speak to you. If you like any of these alternatives. Well, before we do that, let me ask you this. Without any of these new things that I'm going to put, these new options, have you given any thought, and you're a young man, I mean, I know these things, we're not supposed to spend too much time thinking about these things, but have you thought about kind of how you'd like to be disposed of?
I really feel like I'm not going to be there anyway, so I'm not concerned with it too much. I always say that I just want to be cremated because I think it would be easier, cheaper, all the way around, and just take the money that's left over from that and throw a huge party and invite all the friends over.
So, and I think a lot of folks think like that. I think cremation over the years steadily becoming a more popular choice for that reason. It's not as cost prohibitive or not as expensive, and that's probably better for the families and stuff. So let's start here. Okay, here's the first one. It's called resomation. Resomation. Now, there's only one place right now that you can actually have this done, and that's in the United States. At Anderson McQueen Funeral Home in St. Petersburg, Florida.
I've been there.
I had some family live there, yeah. Now, here's what they do. They will dissolve your tissue as an alternative to traditional cremation. In form, it's not really in form. In function, it's similar to cremation. Okay? They call it resomation or biocremation. Uses a heated water and potassium hydroxide to liquefy the body, leaving only bones behind. That's sort of like cremation. The bones are then pulverized, much as in regular cremation. The bone fragments return to the family in an urn. Again, biocremation. They say it's environmentally friendly, and fillings and other implants can be removed from the bone before the liquid, which is now, they say it's sterile. And here's kind of where I had a problem with this, and I don't know why they advertise it like this unless people are doing it, that the liquid that's now sterile can be dumped into the municipal wastewater system.
Yeah.
They're going to pour you down the drain.
In the toilet, probably.
You see your daughters standing around the kitchen sink sniffling in their black dresses. We miss you, Daddy, and then they pour you down the drain?
I know Cosby isn't a very hot topic right now, but you remember the Cosby Show where they buried the fish and they were all standing around the commode and
I think every show did that, probably. Yeah. Bill Cosby with the women. Don't drug the women with the drugs. Okay. So
I wasn't going to go there.
Well, I had to throw in. They like my Cosby around the house. So okay. Since you brought it up, I had to. Maybe I'll do an extended Cosby. Oh, and then liquefy my body and then pour my body down the drain. Okay. Oh, they got the dogs barking. All right. So the funeral director says resumation. Well, we got to talk about cost. It cost about $650. The transportation, handling, and other fees could bring the price up to around $3,000, but like the basic no frills, just the process of doing it, $650. That's not bad.
Yeah.
And I say even with the other stuff that the upsell and the add-ons, even at $3,000, that's probably not too bad.
So what do you think? We get a bathtub out back and start doing this?
Yeah. I think some criminal types probably been doing something similar to this for a long time, although that's probably not environmentally friendly.
Right.
And what's funny is because they create all these nice euphemisms for it. Resumation. Bio-cremation. I had seen in a thread where somebody else called it really what it is. It's a corpse dissolving machine. That's it. True. Okay. Now, so here's another one. Natural burial. Now that you would think, well, that's what we do now. Not necessarily. It's burial, but without all the add-ons like what am I thinking of? Like vaults.
Not that cool.
All the heavy stuff. Basically, they just put you in a shroud and or like a biodegradable casket. I don't know, cardboard or something that's going to break down.
Yeah. And
they just bury you like that. So automatically it's cost effective because you're not buying vaults and any of that other kind of stuff.
I'm good with that.
Yeah, and that one I can see where that'd be popular because that's incredibly simple. Mm-hmm. That's incredible. And I have said myself for years, kind of like you, like I don't really care. Just put me in a pine box and
I'm dead. I'm not there.
I like the old West, just build pine boxes. Yeah. All right, this one's pretty interesting. Eternal reefs. For those who prefer to nourish a more aquatic environment after death. I've not really thought about what I'm nourishing after death, but if you want to nourish
probably worms and bugs.
Well, in this case, a little different. You can get this done in Georgia. The company there called Eternal Reefs. They create artificial reef material out of a mixture of concrete and human cremains. The cremains is the crushed bone that's left over after the cremation. That's basically what we call ashes, even though that's really not what it is. Right. It's not really ashes, but you know what I'm saying.
Right.
So they mix that with a little concrete. They take these concrete orbs and they place them in areas in reefs where the reefs need restoration, and they attract fish and other organisms that turn the remains into an undersea habitat. Right, so we can drop your remains in Bikini Bottom. Cremation isn't quite as green, so to speak, environmentally friendly as the natural burial due to the combustion process. Because see, like one of the things they were saying about, like even with cremation, is that you get the process of cremating, burning the body and the fire and the smoke and all that. Which you don't have, obviously, with a natural burial. But see, this process, you still have some of that. So it's it's a little lower on the environmental friendly scale. But
that's one of those things I have problems with, too. When people say that they're trying to leave, I don't want to leave a carbon footprint on my life. Don't you deserve to leave a footprint? I mean, don't you need to...
Well, I think folks are, concerned when it's unnecessarily impacting the environment. If that makes sense. I want
people to know that I existed. So
yeah, but I mean, it does. We do need to be honest with ourselves. I mean, we're very wasteful and we're very indulgent with our machines and our lifestyles, and So can you take it too far? I mean, yeah, you can take it too far, I guess, but I don't think there's anything wrong with being conscious or aware of it. So what do we got? Eternal Reefs. Okay, this one's not really new. but it's still out there, believe it or not, although I don't know why. Cryonics. Freeze you.
Hang out with Walt Disney and, what was it, Mickey Mantle?
No, I know Mickey Mantle, not for a fact, but I think the Walt Disney thing, and that was always kind of an urban legend.
It was just his head or something, wasn't it?
Well, that's a way to do it. I don't know about Walt Disney, but here's some advantages to it. Okay, if they freeze you, if they cryonically freeze you, it's that. Here's how they pitch it: that it would be possible to revive you with your personality and memory intact, despite the numerous barriers to this, including toxicity of the chemicals that they use. So really, it's not really viable, but they pretend like it is. Because the chemicals and stuff they use is going to damage the cells and all that stuff. So, advocates have promoted cryonics since the late 60s, though, that according to the Cryonics Institute. As of August of 2011, so this is a couple years old, but there were just over 200 people in cryonics storage in the United States. This seems weird to say, but I almost would have thought it would have been higher.
Yeah, that seems like a low number.
Maybe just from what I've seen in movies and stuff, you expect, you walk into like a warehouse and there's...
What if there was like 1,000 of them and then somebody decided to turn the switch off or something?
Yeah.
And they all thawed.
Yeah.
And now there's 200 left.
And you'd have to refund everybody their money.
Right.
Wouldn't that stink?
Who would you give the money to, though? They're already dead.
Their estate or their families, I would guess. I don't know. Prices vary depending on the procedure, the company you use, the payment plan. On the high end, if you wanted to be cryonically frozen on the high end, $200,000 for whole body. Now, like you mentioned, you can just do your head if you just want to freeze your head. Cost cutters. You can, if you want to save $1 or $2. Which it seems to me, though, at this point, if you're this concerned about being revived in the afterlife, and you actually think that this is a possibility. I mean, and here's what I'm saying: why take the bargain?
Yeah.
Why not just go all the way? If you're going to do this, go with the full $200,000. Get the whole body done. Why do you go, well, this seems like a good package deal?
I wonder if they take a check.
And if it doesn't clear, they go turn you off.
Yeah, that's right.
Flip the switch, right? But anyway, for about $80,000 if you just wanted to freeze your head.
That seems... So it's $200,000 to freeze your whole body.
Yeah.
But it's 80... Doesn't that seem like a little high to just freeze your head?
No. I mean, it's a seller's market.
I'm just thinking you'd probably fit 8 heads in the same spot. You could put one.
But what's the idea, though? If we revive your head, do we then
put you in a
do you
jar?
just exist? Yeah, as a head, or do they anticipate that? I guess you'd have to ask each individual and what they're thinking. I can't get myself to a place mentally where I can go. I can't work that process in my mind. Going, what would be my plan after if all this goes the way that we hope it will go? If you freeze my head, can later revive my head, and I still have my personality, and I'm otherwise not affected, well, then what? What's the go-to after that?
Maybe they expect to have robot bodies for you or something rather than... We're doing sci-fi. Might as well go really sci-fi, You
know what? This just went on my list. That'd be awesome. Yeah. Now, see, now you're speaking my language. I can get a robot body,
right?
Cyborg, yes.
Heck yeah. Okay,
all right. Now I'm more interested in that. All right, so here's another one. They call this this oxymoron, space burial.
Ooh.
I read that and I'm like, that I automatically have a problem with this one. It's not space burial. Okay, so if cryonics is too expensive, but you still want a little science fiction. In the afterlife, you can get your ashes shot into space.
Didn't they do that to Jerry Garcia?
I said ashes.
Yes.
We're going to shoot your ashes into space.
Shoot your ashes.
All your ashes. Listen, all your ashes. I'm going to shoot your ashes into space.
We'll take your ash to space.
What was it? The movie? Not Terminator, Schwarzenegger. Oh, when he went to Mars.
Oh, Total Recall.
You get your ashes to Mars.
Yes. We'll get your ashes to Mars.
Okay, sorry, I got stuck on that. What were you? Who? Jerry Garcia?
Jerry Garcia.
What about him?
I think he got shot into space. His ashes got shot into space. Even better, though, one of my favorites.
I've never heard that.
My favorite's Hunter Thompson.
Yeah.
You know his ashes, what they did with his? Mm-mm. Johnny Depp took his ashes and made fireworks out of them and exploded them over his little compound he'd built in the desert.
That's interesting. Mm-hmm. But that's more kind of an after cremation thing.
Oh yeah.
And that's one of the, I don't know if it's a privilege or one of the things you can enjoy with cremation is then you can do whatever you want to do, whatever the law will allow with the ashes. Put them in an urn on the mantle or go, pour them in the sea or whatever people do with them.
I do have a funny story about that. It's not really funny, but when I was younger, we had a friend of ours that passed away in a car wreck, and he was cremated. And so he had this special spot out in Cades Cove out in the Smoky Mountains that he liked, and we thought we'd take his ashes there and spread them around this tree at Cades Cove.
That's nice.
So we did that, and we came back like 3 years later thinking that the ashes would have dissolved and stuff. They were still there. Like you pick up the leaves that were around the tree, and like the ashes were still in a pile around the tree. So
they've not degraded or broken down.
And then I was wondering, like, if somebody found them, or was like burned human remains found in the Smoky Mountains.
I wouldn't think so. I mean, you'd have to have a pretty discerning eye to see that, and if I was just out in a random place outdoors and saw something that looked, I wouldn't know enough.
If it was a crime scene though, like if something happened there and they're like digging around and oh my gosh.
Yeah, I mean, if just by mere circumstance or coincidence somebody else chose to dump a body there,
right,
and it got mixed in, and then it could create a whole lot of confusion for the crime scene technicians.
That'd be funny. Well, it wouldn't be funny, but it
wouldn't be funny, but
it'd be a little
not funny, haha, funny, ironic, ironic funny. Here's the problem. I don't like this whole space burial option. It smacks of gimmick because they don't leave you in space. Basically, what they do is they take you're cremated anyway. Mm-hmm. They take not even your entire cremated remains, just like a portion, about 1 to 7 grams, and they launch you into space on a rocket that's already going for something else. It just kind of hitches a ride, and this one place, Salitas Memorial Space Flights, they offer this, a low orbit journey that lets your cremains experience zero gravity before returning to Earth. That starts around $995. So you're looking at $1,000 on the low end.
$995.95.
Yeah, $995.99. Call them now for this incredible TV offer. And that's all. They just take an ounce of your remains, they pull them up and bring them back.
Do you think they actually do it, or are they just like, oh yeah, we did it.
Oh,
here you go.
Yeah, I thought of that. There's a lot of room for fraud.
Oh yeah.
A chance to orbit Earth, and if you wanted to do it this way, you can say, well, I want them to go into space, but I'm not concerned about them returning back. I want my remains to burn up in orbit.
Oh,
that's okay. I can kind of go with that. Yeah. That goes up to 3,000.
Oh,
I think that's that's a big jump from $1,000 to $3,000. Dedicated space lovers can have themselves launched to the moon or into deep space for $10,000 or $12,000, respectively. So if you want to go way out into deep space, that's the expensive end, $12,500.
That's the ones that are like, oh yeah, we took them to the moon, they're gone. Let's have our money.
Which it's still though. Now that seems expensive just to be blasted into space, $10,000, $12,000, but when you go back to like the $200,000 for cryonics and stuff, that still kind of seems a bargain for me. But I just don't see any. I don't know. I don't see you having any fun with that. I mean, other than just if you just having the curiosity, the conversation starter to tell people,
when I die, I'm getting blown into orbit.
Yeah, I'm going into space.
Yeah.
Here's another one now. Here's something old, something new, right? They say everything comes back in style. Mummification. You can go for mummification now. There is a religious organization called, I'm going to do my best with this, Summum. It's got like 3 M's and 2 U's in it. Summum. I don't know.
You would have to for something like that.
It's Egyptian.
Yes.
They were founded in 1975. They offer mummification service to people and pets That's cool. Before his death in 2008, the founder of Samum, Corky Ra,
that's made up.
if you're going to be a religious leader of something so groundbreaking and profound, Corky,
yes,
that's probably not your go-to. So, all right, Corky Ra. He told CBS News that at least 1,400 people had signed up for eventual mummification. That seems to be the thing with all these. Of course, you can plan this ahead of time for all of these. The price of human mummification, what would you put it at?
It's got to be expensive.
Well, none of these are cheap.
Yes.
None of these are cheap.
Say 20,000.
A little higher.
Really?
Yeah, 63,000.
63,000.
Mm-hmm. That's where it starts.
Mm-hmm.
Like believers in cryonics, Ra and those like him, Corky Ra, they hope that their preserved DNA will enable future scientists to clone them and give them, or at least their genes, a second shot at life. Now, see, I understand the future sight of cryonics when they were talking about it in the 60s. I get the idea, because that's about as far as our technological eyes could see. Mm-hmm. Now, knowing and having the technology that we have for genetics and DNA, to be honest, this sounds a little more feasible to me. It's like, why freeze my head or my body when you can save a half a drop of blood,
right,
and potentially make another me?
Right. It wouldn't be you, though. I mean, you wouldn't have your experiences or your...
Well, then that's where the cryonics folks...
Yeah.
Listen, you don't want to go with that whole mummification thing, see? Let me tell you what we do down at the cryonics lab, what we can offer you.
Yeah.
I guess that's the sell there, is that, hey, we put you back in play, not just something like you. Okay. So, mummification, Corky Ra. He puts his money where his mouth is.
Yeah.
After Corky died, Corky's gone. He was mummified. And he's now encased in their bronze pyramid, the Sumum Pyramid. Well, where would you guess the bronze Sumum Pyramid is where Corky Ra is mummified?
Yonkers.
Salt Lake City, Utah.
Oh my gosh.
I guess some
Mormons.
When the Mormons go to do touristy things in Salt Lake City, that's where they go.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Everybody else is going by the temple.
Right.
They're going to the Sumum Pyramid.
I wonder if, like, in 10,000 years, people will be digging those folks up going, what the heck happened here?
Why were we making mummies in 2015? Yeah, a little anachronistic, right? Plastination.
Ooh.
Plastination. Now, do you remember, or you have seen, like you could buy them in the toy store sometime, the Invisible Man?
Oh my gosh.
Like his outside was clear, but you just could see his guts and his intestines.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Like mummification, plastination involves, and this is more in the realm of like donating your body. I think. This isn't really for your benefit.
I think I've seen one of these in a museum before.
Unless you're just really weird and you're like, oh, I'm totally going to do this, and I want my wife to put it in the living room. You know what? Or in the foyer.
A table out of me.
Sure. Preserving the body in a semi-recognizable form. This was invented by an anatomist. Plastination used in medical schools, anatomy labs. They preserve organs for education. But the original inventor, took the process one step further. He created exhibits, and that's probably what you have seen, what you're talking about, of plastinated bodies. They're posed as if frozen in the midst of their everyday activities. That gets a little weird.
Crazy, yeah.
You know what makes a taxidermy? We put fake plastic eyes in the bobcat and like a plastic tongue, so we can make him look like he's in mid kill or something.
That's creepy.
According for the Institute for Plastination, though, thousands have signed up to donate their bodies. But this is
seriously not an Institute for Plastination, is there?
The Institute for Plastination, capitalized. Where do you work? The IFP. But thousands have signed up to donate their bodies for education and display. Okay. Cremation. Cremation.
That sounds fancy too.
Yeah, exactly right. This is freeze drying.
Ooh, like beef jerky.
Okay. This is a newcomer on the eco burial stage. This is the top of the line.
Would you want to break in some new thing to bury you with?
That's it. Yeah, right.
Would you want to be the first?
If I'm going to be a guinea pig for those kind of things. This was invented by a Swedish marine biologist. The process involves immersing the corpse in liquid nitrogen, which makes it very brittle.
Like Terminator.
If you've seen movies, you know what liquid nitrogen does. They then blast the body with vibrations, gentle vibrations, which kind of shake it apart, and the water that's in the body evaporates away in a vacuum chamber. Right, so they freeze it in this liquid nitrogen. They blast it with vibrations. It crumbles apart very finely, and they remove the water. So what you get, they use a separator to filter out things like fillings and surgical implants and stuff. And what you get are like powdered remains, very similar to cremation. Now, I know it all sounds a little strange, but if you think about it, it seems a little less messy, really, than what you're doing, with burning bodies and pulverizing bones and stuff. They then take the powdered remains, they lay them to rest in a shallow grave. And the reason to do this with the shallow burial, oxygen and water can mix with the powdered remains, and it turns it into compost. Now, if you're a green, environmental kind of person, that really seems like really putting your money where your mouth is.
Turning yourself into compost.
Other than the going in the reef to help build homes for the fishies or whatever it is you're doing.
Finding Nemo.
So where are we at there? No one yet has been sent off into the afterlife with the Cremation way. The company developing the service does have a licensed branch in the United Kingdom.
Go down in history as the first.
Yeah. There's no hint, though, of when the option might land on American shores. So you can go to one of those petition pages, I guess, and start a petition. That's what folks do. And here's the last one. And this is one of the, probably of all of these, is the most interesting, the most worthy of conversation. A company called Life Gem, they can take the carbon from your remains and convert them into actual diamonds.
Ooh.
You can become a diamond.
Wow.
True diamonds. They're just as real as any other diamond. You can leave your loved ones as a unique and unforgettable memorial token. Life Gem diamonds, molecularly identical to natural diamonds found at any high-end jeweler. To qualify as diamonds, they must have the exact same brilliance, fire, and hardness. The hardest substance known, of course, diamonds. And Life Gem says this can be done with cremation remains that are already years old. So there's actually a
retroactive.
Yeah. If you've got somebody that's already been cremated, you've got the remains, they can just pull the carbon for that. The carbon is available for a long time still in the remains. Okay, costs. Surprisingly, I think this is not as expensive as you would have thought. The cost for a Life Gem diamond seemed to run between $3,000 and $9,000 for different sizes and colors. And they offer a reasonable family plan that includes 4 jewelry pieces for around $1,800. So I guess if you had, like you got 3 girls, you could get the family plan, make a ring for your mom, for your 3 girls, and everybody could have a. The question is, would you wear it? Open the door and holler. See if Gretchen's still out there.
Gretchen.
Is she here? Nope. She probably took off. All right, Abby, get out of here.
You gotta go.
The dog's back out of the room. Well, I hate that. I wanted to ask her if she would do. I don't know if this is appropriate conversation for us to have as men. I'm not really a jewelry guy anyway.
No.
I mean, I don't typically wear a diamond ring anyway, but I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on that? Would you do this? Do you think would your mother wear a diamond ring with your remains in it?
Oh, I don't. I mean, if she was going to wear anything with my remains on it, has to be like a diamond or something. But because I get weirded out by people who wear those little charms with the ashes in them or with the cremains in them.
People do that?
Oh yeah, I've got an aunt.
They wear remains around their neck? Or cremains?
Cremains. And her daughter had passed away, and they gave out these little bottles of her cremains to the family members. I guess it's part of their grieving process.
I mean, keeping them and having them or memorializing them in an appropriate place, I get, but that's a little too near.
Yeah.
A little too near and dear. I don't want it hanging around my neck.
No, not necessarily.
And practically, if they are that important to you, though, it seems to me that leaves an awful lot of room for them to, get lost or damaged. Or I'm assuming that if you're wearing them around like that, they're protected where they're not going to get wet. Or
I used to work with a lady who kept her sister's cremains in her closet in her room, and her house caught on fire. And she said everybody would keep telling her that you can replace everything in the house. Everything's replaceable. And she's like, well, my sister's not replaceable. My sister was in the closet. She's not there anymore.
Well, I guess everything in life has a little bit of inherent risk in it. I mean, The only thing you could really do is take it to the bank, put it in a safety deposit box. That kind of is not in keeping with the spirit of things. All right. Well, let's move on to something else. I'm going to make a little callback to something that we talked about last time we were here, but how to introduce this? I don't want to give it away. Okay, we know that the cannabis legalization movement has really taken steam in the United States, and there's some places now in the United States where it's practically legal everywhere, but it's been decriminalized in a lot of parts of the United States. However, there is one country in the entire world where it has forever been completely legal now, and unrestricted, uncontrolled, unregulated. What I mean is there aren't any laws governing it. You can have it, use it, smoke up wherever you want, anytime you want. It's completely so pause for a moment, because it's not maybe where your first place you're thinking is probably not where, because that first place you're thinking of, there are regulations. And I think most people listening, when they're trying to think where you think dope would be available for free, unregulated use, this one will surprise you. Now, what would you think?
Well,
there's one obvious place that everybody's going to go to in their mind first.
Amsterdam's going to be the obvious one, but I'm thinking probably somewhere in the Middle East, because those folks have like those hookah pipes.
See, here's the thing. You remember from the Tarantino Pulp Fiction, they had that whole conversation about it. Now, look, you can't just smoke anywhere.
Royale cheese.
I mean, you just can't walk into a restaurant, roll a joint, and start puffing away.
Are the laws very liberal there?
Oh,
yes. And people go there to smoke up and smoke dope. But there's one country in the entire world where unregulated dope possession and smoking is completely free game. We talked about it last time we were here. North Korea.
North Korea.
Does that make...
I'll just slap my knee if you...
Does that make any sense at all? Or is there some very incredibly brilliant, evil, twisted logic behind there?
Like population control or something?
I mean,
I wouldn't think they had enough food to supply a army of hungry folks.
Of hungry, high Koreans.
Yeah.
And this has been this way for a long time. So, great leader Kim Jong-un didn't just start this himself.
Yeah.
So here we go. It's legal all along in a country that is the polar opposite when it comes to human rights. North Korea, the world's most secretive and isolated state, it is completely legal and de jure. You can possess, smoke, cultivate, and even sell cannabis. They call it yoksum or yoksum in North Korea. Dwight Yoakam. There you go. Smoke up, Dwight Yoakam. It may not even seem ideal to sell anything in the capitalist-hating authoritarian communist dictatorship, but there have been reports that bags of cannabis are sold in various private North Korean marketplaces, a few of which the communist government tolerates and subsequently smoked with impunity. And then, of course, this is what we were talking about in the Netherlands with the capital Amsterdam, famous for their cafes and where they smoke dope. But they've tolerated and mostly permitted the consumption and sale of cannabis, albeit in a controlled manner. Yeah, I don't know about this. Do you think maybe it has something to do with if you have a totalitarian state like that, right, where you've got all these human rights violations going on, and you're really oppressing the people, and you're telling them what kind of haircuts to have. And do you think maybe it has something to do with appeasing or pacifying like the old communist dictators of old used to say, religion is the opium of the masses. Mm-hmm. Perhaps they're just taking it to a literal conclusion. If like maybe we just let them stay stoned all the time, maybe they'll just
fall.
Stay docile.
Yeah, I can't imagine the work ethic would be great. It seems like that's a pretty, like they put a lot of focus on work and working for the state and that kind of thing, but I couldn't imagine that would make productivity go up.
Are they really concerned about productivity though? See, I don't know enough about North Korea. I don't know what their big exports of products would be, or any because they're secret and isolated. But we know about, what do we know though? They have government mandated haircuts, and I guess if you got to go there, you feel better about going and getting that government haircut.
Yep.
If you get good and stoned before you go, you're just like, do you want number 13 or do you want number 9? I don't care.
Whatever.
It's all good, man.
I look like my neighbor anyway. It's good.
And your barber's taking a big bong hit before he goes to cut you up. Just whatever, man.
Cheech and Chong in North Korea, I couldn't imagine.
Yeah, well, see, that wouldn't really work there if it's that. Well, I guess it could. That'd still make. We're having a good laugh over all this, but you know what, man? There's even this as the dope legalization thing gathers more steam and makes more headway in the United States. We're actually, and I'm not going to make a big case for that. I don't really care. I would be more of a decriminalization guy than I would be a legalization guy. But there's actually a segment of our Christian culture that is trying to rationalize and articulate this, and you got folks that want to go to church and smoke dope and all that. Look, if that's you, knock it off, okay? Just don't smoke dope, and I don't care whether you're Christian or not. Don't smoke dope first and foremost. They call it dope for a reason, but anyway. I mean, I'm not that guy. I'm not like I really want to care and give, dope smokers 50-year prison sentences or any of that kind of stuff. I don't want to pretend like it's a bigger deal than it is, but at the same time, just knock it off. Don't smoke dope. That's so stupid to me. Where else can we go today? That wasn't too dark, was it? Talking about all the burials.
No, not really. We all have to think about it at some point.
Yeah, it's so taboo in our culture, in Western culture. We just don't. I don't know why we're so afraid to talk about it. And it really, I get the impression it's really not like that in the rest of the world. Yeah. That it's more open for discussion. We just don't like to deal with it. We just don't like to deal with it. All right. Well, here's something a little more fun. You ever gamble? You ever lost a big bet?
I try to stay away from it. I've never been to a casino.
Good for you.
I used to bet on the little football pools and stuff. Well,
this story is about drinking and gambling. Both of which I used to do a lot. And I was good at both, unless I did them together.
Yeah, I can imagine. Did the gambling get in the way of your drinking, or did the drinking get in the way of your gambling?
Oh, it's like chocolate and peanut butter, man. It's chocolate and peanut butter. Well, I mean, at the time, you don't. The drinking, of course, is a mental lubricant that the inhibitions are lowered, and you're gonna. That's why casinos love to ply you with free drinks and stuff. They want you to drink because you're not thinking clear. Mm-hmm. You're like, let it ride. Who cares, right? I'll take haircut number 9. So yeah, but I don't do either of those anymore at all, and I'm much better for it. So now this is 2009, so this is a few years ago. A guy in New Zealand got really drunk, got in a card game that he shouldn't have been in. He shouldn't have been drunk. Shouldn't have been in the card game, but he lost. He lost a bet. And it was what we would call a proposition bet. Now, for the non gamblers out there, proposition bet. You can have money on a proposition bet, but the terms are: I propose this, and if this happens or that doesn't happen. They tell stories about Amarillo Slim, who was a famous professional gambler out in Vegas. The stories on this guy's life are amazing. But like anything he could, he would just look around the room, and anything he could gamble on. They were telling a story about him standing outside a casino in Las Vegas, looked up, and there were some birds on a wire, and he immediately wanted to enter a prop bet with somebody on which bird was going to fly away first. I mean, just anything we could gamble on.
He was my grandpa's hero.
Amarillo Slim?
Yeah.
Very interesting man. So, okay. He lost the bet, and he had to change his name.
Oh.
He's like, if I lose this bet, I'll change my name. And, of course, he let his quote-unquote friends, I'm sure his gambling buddies, select his name. So, here's what he changed his name to because he lost the bet. Get ready, because this is long. He then became, this is his name, Full Metal Havoc, more sexy and intelligent than Spock and all the superheroes combined with Frost Nova. That's his name. Let me read it again to you. He lost the bet. Now here's your new name. Hi, what's your name? Full Metal Havoc, more sexy and intelligent than Spock and all the superheroes combined with Frost Nova.
How long do you have to keep the name? Forever? Or?
He found out that, because where they are in New Zealand, you well, I guess you do it here too. You petition the court to have your name changed, and he found out that it was accepted. But 5 years later, after receiving a confirmation letter, so he got a 5-year
reprieve of
where it was still in the works. Man, that's a lot of red tape. That's a long time to wait for a name change.
Could you imagine the guy with that rolled across his desk being like, "Are you kidding me?"
Maybe that's why it took so long. He maybe had to make court dates. But then again, I would think I wouldn't be making court dates trying to get him to help me. I'd be kind of like, I can't have it. Oh, shucks.
Man, it didn't work. Sorry, guys.
Full Metal Havoc, more sexy and intelligent than Spock and all the superheroes combined with Frost Nova. And what gets me too is like that. There's a part, because you guys can't see it, but it says Full Metal Havoc, more sexy and intelligent. It's not and, it's in. Like sexy, and then the letter N, intelligent, than Spock and all the superheroes combined with Frost Nova.
Just imagine his driver's license. Pulling him over. Excuse me, Mr. Oh, dear Lord.
I don't know how they do things in New Zealand. All right, we'll finish today with this then. I did see Fantastic Four.
Oh. I
don't want to spend a lot of time on that. I'll say this. It's not good. But it's not as, I don't think it's earning all of the hatred that it's getting. The problem, I can't trust my own perspective. I have this thing where if I hear too much about something before I go in, I think my response or my critique is kind of reactionary. Mm-hmm. I did this many years ago with Silence of the Lambs. This was kind of the first place that I was aware of this in my own mind. Because I was kind of late seeing that movie. It was out for a couple of months or a few weeks before I finally got around to seeing it. And the hype was just unbelievable. It's just awesome. Silence of the Lambs is so great. And it's just so great. And I guess if you don't remember that time, you remember, but that Silence of the Lambs hype was just really out of control. Yeah. So I finally get around to seeing it, and I'm thinking, okay, this is going to be great. And I didn't dislike it, but I was just kind of disappointed. It's kind of like, oh, what was all the hype about?
You have to watch it a couple times before it actually starts making sense.
So I realized when that happened in myself, I have this thing where I think it was a response. Had it not been hyped so much, I may have appreciated it more. Mm-hmm. Same sort of thing with this. I think if I went in knowing nothing about this Fantastic Four movie and just went in Uncorrupted, that I would have probably hated it, and I'd probably really be angry and would tell you. But because it had been hated on for months before it ever came out, I think I kind of wanted to give it a chance. Yeah. The first act is great. You can see the groundwork of something good. The second act, you kind of looking around going, what's happening? Where's this going? And then the third act is just doesn't make any sense at all. You can see the progression of all the reports you've been hearing about how this thing just really went off the rails. Mm-hmm. There was probably something good in there on the front end that too many cooks in the kitchen. Our director buddy Josh Trank started to kind of lose control of it. Then the studio guys came in, and then then nobody knew what they were doing. It has very little action.
You think that the other movies were so bad that they were trying so hard to make this one better that they just ruined it? First, I wouldn't call the others bad necessarily. I think they were okay for what they were. Again, same sort of principle. I think those get unfairly hated on. Yeah. They weren't great. There were some things that we would have done better. But like critically, though, they're they were panned as being pretty bad.
Those movies are kind of critic proof anyway, or they should be. This, it just, like there's really no action until the last few minutes, and it feels so rushed. Mm-hmm. It's like you're waiting and you're waiting and you're waiting. There's like an hour and a half of build up, and then boom, 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 and the movie's over. It's like, well, I don't. Anyway, well, I'll talk maybe more about that a little. I was disappointed with what they did with Dune. So anyway, well, let's finish with this today. I just wanted to throw that in real quick to let everybody know I did see it, and it's worth a look. Okay, last year, the South Korean government in Seoul announced that they were adding some new car parking spaces in the capital in Seoul. And they were specifically for certain drivers. They were for women drivers. Uh-huh. The spaces are, you're laughing already. The new spaces that are women's spaces are longer and wider. And they also sport a pink outline and a symbol that resembles a woman in a dress. So you know this is a woman-only parking. Ostensibly, it appears to be a gesture that gives credence to the stereotype that women are worse drivers. See, I bet that's what you thought, isn't it?
I was thinking Asians, but that's okay.
Oh, well, okay.
The hierarchy of bad drivers.
But they're all Asian.
Yeah, but women Asian drivers would have to be pretty high on the list of...
Oh,
man,
send
those letters today.
Send your cards and letters. No. So for all you folks that are laughing or getting mad, do you know that this actually was not done as a sort of with a negative frame of thought? This was actually done for the benefit of women. The ladies-only parking spaces are part of an $83 million program by the government. Listen to this. To make the capital more female-friendly. Now, see, you feel bad about where your mind went.
Not really still, but...
Well, other elements of the scheme, because there's other initiatives in this $83 million program, they want to include softer, slightly spongy pavements that are intended to be easier to walk on for high heel wearers. They really are concerned about... being female
let's just make
friendly.
it okay for them to not have to wear high heels to work.
That
one is free.
Around 7,000 new women-only toilets. Oh. Now I think they're really on something there. That's you. If you go, we're going to put in some new parking spaces for women only. We're going to make a spongy pavement that's easier to walk on. You can see all these women getting mad, going, "Oh, you think we need our bigger parking spaces because we're women," and until you go, and we're also going to give you guys 7,000 new bathrooms, women only. Oh,
okay.
That's how you win them.
Yeah,
that's how you win them right there.
That's the last point.
Mm-hmm. New facilities like new parking spaces also receive improved lighting and would be positioned closer to amenities. That's all kind of nice, man. I think they're trying to make Seoul a little nicer for. And,
do they have to? I wonder if they have to have like special stickers on the car so they can park in those parking spots.
I wouldn't think so.
They've got like a more polite culture where the men wouldn't want to park in those spots.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure it's like anything, man. You know, somebody's going to try to cheat and get away with it, or I just got to run in for a minute and. We were talking before we sat down about Nate and I watching Parking Wars and watching those parking shows, and that's so crazy to me, man. It doesn't matter. People will not admit that they're wrong.
No, never.
They will not admit that they've done anything wrong. And even if that space says it's for a woman, it's for a disabled person, it's for a pregnant mom, doesn't matter because I just got to run in for just a minute and it's okay for me. And then if you come out and your car's getting towed or you get a ticket, of course it's not your fault.
Right. I was just in there for a minute.
You're just trying to make money off people, and it's blah, 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 blah. And it's all, where's the sign? Where's the sign? And I see that on that parking lot. Yeah. Where's the sign? And
it's like
there it is. Where? The sign is right there. It's just the human condition. And occasionally you'll run into that rare, noble soul who's like, I messed up. And they let their They don't pay those parking tickets, and you see them. You know, with the parking war show, you see the full progression. You see the folks that tow the cars. You see the folks that write the tickets. You see the folks at the impound lot. So you see how it happens. You get the parking ticket. You let it go. It racks up. You get more. You go, because you'll see the people go, well, I'm not paying it. I'm not paying this ticket. And then a few episodes later, they're getting their cars towed, and they're like, why are you towing my car? And you can't. And they're like, because you didn't pay those parking.
Because you have 20
tickets.
Parking tickets out. And
the only thing with that is, as you watch those shows, you get the impression, because I've seen Detroit, Philadelphia, and there was another one that Nathan and I saw this morning, and it was for the first time, Rhode Island. You watch those, and you get the sense that, like, there's nowhere to park there. But I thought this morning, maybe that's just perception, because we're just seeing where the violations occur.
Well, I think, like in New York, if you park in New York, you've got to buy a parking spot. That would probably cost more a year than my house does.
Oh, well, famously, there's nowhere to park there. There's too many people.
Yeah.
And that's why a lot of people in New York don't own. You got people that born and raised in New York never own a car.
Right.
That's kind of foreign to us because we live in a rural area where we're used to having cars. All right. Well, that looks like a good place to stop for today. We'll come back next week and talk about more things of interest, more things concern you. Watch a few episodes of Parking Wars and figure out where we can park in Philadelphia. And we'll sign off for now. Take care until you join us again. Be sure and give us some more likes. We're sitting at 99. We're waiting for that 100th like. Could be you. You could be the person.
We will give you a shout out on air if we can figure out who you are.
I'll try to do something. We'll try to give you something. We'll give you a coupon for bio-cremation. So until we see you next time, shoot your ashes into space. I'm Pastor Dave, sitting across the table from me. Randall, the Armorbearer. We are
They That Believe.
We are assembled here today to pay final respects to our honored dead. And yet it should be noted that in the midst of our sorrow, this death takes place in the shadow of new life, the sunrise of a new world, a world that our beloved comrade gave his life to protect and nourish. He did not feel this sacrifice a vain or empty one, and we will not debate his profound wisdom at these proceedings. Of my friend, I can only say this. Of all the souls I have encountered in my travels, his was the most human. Others?